So, Heather, this week, of course, was not just a big week. I mean, it transcended being a big week in terms of politics, or I should say, at least in terms of the presidential primary. It was the first time in the history of this country when a major party has, at least let's say, let's be safe here, presumptively nominated a woman. Let's just go through some of the more banal aspects of this before we start talking about the implications of this. There were six primaries that took place on Tuesday of this past week. Bernie Sanders won two of those. One was actually a caucus, North Dakota and Montana being a caucus. And then Clinton won pretty handily in New Jersey, New Mexico, South Dakota, and of course, California. Bernie Sanders needed to win with even a bigger margin than Clinton ended up winning. And we are now at the point where Hillary Clinton has clinched the pledged delegates. I, for one, have really discounted superdelegates throughout this entire process because it is both my feeling that they should follow what the majority, who the winner of the pledged delegates were, A, and B, that they would be inclined to do that from the beginning. So just without getting into yet the aspect of Hillary Clinton being the first woman nominated by a major political party and all the implications that surround that. Just give me your sense overall, where this went. You're in California. This is a place where Bernie Sanders had to win 75 to 25%. And of course, he did not. He lost 56 to 44 or something. Just give me your sense of what happened in California.
Well, obviously, I think she seems to have dominated throughout the state in places that I think people didn't necessarily expect that she would. She appears to have won, for instance, in San Francisco, with a fairly large margin, or places like Santa Barbara. And she does appear to have won, as one might expect, the Latino vote pretty handily and the African-American vote throughout the state. Bernie was very strong up in Northern California, which is the stronghold of the younger white liberal crowd, and the rural white crowd, which has been among his strongholds throughout the race. So. It turns out, I think, and I think Nate Silver actually kind of nailed this, that what happened yesterday was probably the Democratic Party just collectively kind of saying, it's done. And he actually compared it to what happened to the Republicans when they finally bailed on Ted Cruz back in April and said, okay, we're done with this. This is, we're just going to make a decision. I mean, obviously, this is not a conscious thing, but more of sort of a collective thing where people are going, let's just put this to bed, and put it to bed in a way that will have legitimacy. I mean, I think that there were many ways in which Clinton was leading and had legitimately won, but putting a capper on it like California, where she appears to have won at this point in double digits. And although there are still votes to be counted out there, it's not entirely likely that's that it's virtually impossible that he's going to overtake her, and it's probably going to be a pretty big win here. And of course, New Jersey. I mean, two big states, really big Democratic states on either coast, kind of weighing in. That's sort of the heart of the Democratic Party is well represented in both of those. And then to pick up New Mexico, a big Latino state, and South Dakota up there in the plains, this is an indication of her strength throughout the party, and I think people kind of feel that today and recognize that she has won it. And it's interesting because I actually caught a little piece last night by Steve Kornacki on MSNBC, who said, he pointed out that when you look at the popular vote totals, her margin, the margin between Clinton and Sanders, is actually larger than any Democratic primary winner in the last 30 years. She's won it very, very substantially, and there's really not a lot of argument other than, of course, there are a lot of Sanders supporters who are, they're sore this morning. I've certainly been in their shoes many times, and I know how that feels, and there are a lot of ways you try to sort of look at it and that can kind of explain things to you when this is very hard to kind of understand and grasp. But I don't think there's any way to spin this other than she won it fair and square, and she won it with enough of a margin that there really cannot be any argument, no matter how you look at it, whether it's delegates or states or popular vote or superdelegates or, whatever it is, she still comes out on top. She has won the race. So
yeah, I have to say, it's interesting because my experience this week when I was doing the Majority Report, taking phone calls, I heard from a lot of Bernie Sanders folks who were accepting and were looking forward for to building a movement off of what Bernie Sanders had created over the course of this campaign. Bernie Sanders, of course, late Tuesday night said that he was going to, and it was interesting. If folks go back and listen to his speech, he said he was going to stay in the primary through the Washington, D.C. Primary, which, of course, is taking place in just a couple of days on the 14th. And that he said he was going to take the fight for, I'm paraphrasing, but social justice, racial justice, economic justice to the convention, which, and perhaps I'm overanalyzing it, but he definitely, it seems to me he's clearly saying that he knows that going to the convention is not about fighting for the nomination, but rather fighting for the issues that he has been advocating over the course of this campaign, and of course, prior to that as